It is the Lab Love Midday Show. It can be found on iHeartRadio, Spotify, as well as Spreaker. It is a full radio show, hip hop and R&B, plus a great conversation like the one we're getting ready to have today. So, conversation today is crime and punishment. We know for a fact we have a crime issue in America. We're probably one of the most violent countries on this planet. And because we're violent like that, but we have contradictions. Some people for death penalty, some people not for the death penalty. Some people think policemen overstep their boundaries. They too aggressive. They show up to the scene ready to shoot or show up to the scene ready to bust heads. So they don't like that. Some people think jails are barbaric. Why are you putting the prisoners in jail and you just sit them there to rot away and they become institutionalized? So we got a reason to not punish, or a reason why the ways that we punish are bad on so many different fronts. But I asked the question, what, if any, should our punishments be? If jail is inhumane, you don't want the police busting heads, you don't want them shooting them, you don't want the death penalty, what are your solutions? What other way do you want to punish these criminals? Because you have to have some form of punishment for people who commit crimes. Whatever those crimes are, there has to be a consequence for those actions. So if there are consequences for that, what should those consequences be? If you don't want it to be jail, then what should it be? If you don't want the police to bust them up, what do you want it to be? Because as I hear people talk, it seems like y'all don't want nothing to happen to these people. You seem like you just want people to be able to just run amok. And I've heard several responses that make no sense to me and that are unrealistic. I've heard people say, well, let the communities police the communities. Y'all ain't policing yourselves. That's how criminals be able to live in the neighborhood that they committed the crime in and people know they did it and they never get turned in. So you're not policing yourself. Stop saying that. That does not work in America. It may work in the Middle East. It may work in France somewhere, but that's not working in America. Definitely not in the black community. We ain't policing us because we don't think nobody's supposed to say nothing to us. Sir, you know you're not supposed to pass your park your car on the curb. Who you talking to? This is my car. Mind your business. So the whole police yourself concept, no, not so much. It's not happening. Even when Karens say something to you and the Karen is in the right, the first thing you say is, why she ain't minding her business? You ain't the police. So self-policing does not work. That is unrealistic, and that's a fantasy. No, nobody, y'all don't want to be told what to do by the people who have the authority to tell you what to do. What make you think you're going to listen to your neighbor? You're not. So Mystical says the punishment needs to fit the crime, but we can't not have punishment at all. Exactly, but therein lies the problem. The problem is not that we can't have it. The problem is that we seemingly cannot agree on what fits the crime. Give you an example. In America, I watched the video, so that's where this conversation came from. In Singapore, man got convicted of drunk driving, and his punishment was caning. He got sentenced to 21 lashes. In the public square, they brought him out there, and they whooped his behind with this cane. It's a whole process. Singapore has a process in which they do it the whole night. Singapore is one of the safest countries on this planet. Almost no crime in Singapore. Almost no crime. They definitely don't have like murders. I think I saw a statistic like in Singapore, Like they've had like 2 murders in like the last 5 years. 2 murders in the shoot, we had 2 murders yesterday in Atlanta. So I'm just saying, do we need to think of some new ways to punish people? If we're not okay with the way we're doing it now, do we need to figure out different ways to punish people? And if we do, what are those ways? What is wrong with our penal system? If you got a problem with the penal system, what is your problem with the penal system? Why does that not work for you? If you have a problem with the penal system, why does that not work for you? Why is that a problem? And I know some of y'all gonna hit me with it because they be locking black men up. Well, there's white men in prison too. So that's really not the conversation we having today about like the disparity in the jails. I get that. I get that there's the disparity. I own it. I get that. The population is not the same. I get that. But once you get past the fact that there's a disparity in the population, and let's focus on the people that's there who's supposed to be there. Why do you have a problem with them being there? What is the problem with the penal system? If you have an problem, if you got a problem with that, what is your problem with the penal system? Again, I was in China before the pandemic hit, and we were sitting outside, and a dude was doing something, and clearly the police were called at this KFC. And when the police showed up, before they showed up, there was another dude who was sitting outside watching this dude that they called the authorities on, watching him act up. So one officer showed up, and the dude, he was going back and forth with the officer a little bit, and a bystander, the police yoked him up, and the bystander helped the policeman yoke up the dude that was wilding out. Mind you, this policeman didn't have a gun. The bystander didn't have a gun, and clearly the dude that they yoked up didn't have a gun. But he didn't arrest him, but he yoked his behind up and he ain't hit him and beat him up, but it was a very aggressive encounter. But in America, ain't nobody helping the police arrest nobody here. They ain't helping you, the police check you in America. So do we have a flaw, even as it relates to crime and punishment? Do we just have a flawed approach to it, period? Are we so arrogant in America where we don't think we supposed to be punished for nothing anyway? Is that how we think? Because sometimes we have that ideology. It seems, what we do is we trivialize the small things and we give ourselves a pass for the small things. Like they don't exist. Yeah, I know this is illegal, but why are you worried about that? Well, statistics prove that in a society, when you let people get away with smaller things, they tend to grow into larger things. That is a scientific fact. Little things become big things. That's just the way nature works. That's the way humans work. That's just the way things work. Little things that are consistent, a bunch of small consistent things eventually become a big thing. That's just the reality of the universe. It just is what it is. So when you say that it's okay for the small things, by default, you're saying it's okay for the big things too. But I know, again, but that goes to my statement of, do we just have a flawed logic? Do we, our mentality, our mental approach to this situation is flawed? So that's what we're talking about today. The crime and punishment. Do we need to figure out a better way to punish criminals? And if we do, what is that better way? What is wrong with the justice system? Let us know. I mean, the penal system, not the justice system, not the pipeline that gets them there. But once they're punished, because we just talked about people who should be punished for whatever they've done. We ain't talking. I'm not here for your political conversation today about how the black man has been set up. That ain't what we're talking about today. That's not the conversation. And if that is what you comment on, I'm going to ignore your comment because that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about people who did it. We know they did it. You done this. How are we supposed to punish them? How when the police show up and you're doing whatever you're accused of doing, you actually did it. The police ain't showing up and they ain't just harassing you. You doing whatever somebody called the police on you to do on this block or wherever you at. You doing it. What are the police supposed to do? Since y'all don't want them to do nothing. Let me know what you think. That's what we're talking about today. Crime and punishment. So that's what we're talking about. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Leave your comments down low. I want to hear what you think. I want to know what you think. Let me know.